And we hit that.
Okay, well, I think we're photographing.
You think?
Yeah.
Let's find out then.
I'm Pat Foster, editor of the West Michigan News Company, and this is...
Here's Commissioner Dennis Knowles out of the city of Benton Harbor.
Okay, we're here today to talk about elections. Now, Dennis was elected there into the city commission about 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in November of 2009.
November 2009. And I remember it quite clearly. I was there as an election challenger with the Green Party. And John Anthony LaPetria, our election coordinator, was there with a number of other people from the Green Party. We knew that Dennis and his Virginia Hill were not Whirlpool people and that they would try to make sure they lost. And so we were there to make sure that the election was honest and that if the people came out and voted for Dennis, then he would be the commissioner. The day of the election, because this is a city, they take all of the absentee ballots from all the different wards, and they take them into a room in that's not City Hall over there.
That is the Water Payment Center,
the water,
Finance Department, Clerk's office.
Okay, the clerk's office is in this Water Payment Center, and they. So I called John Anthony and I said, look, if they're going to steal this election, they're going to steal it with these absentee ballots, and they're going to sequester people in here. So get over here. The two of us will be in there. So we went in, and we sat there through this whole process. They had the ballots there on the table. These women supposedly had been doing this for years. They did not even know how to duplicate a ballot. In other words, if someone, instead of putting filling in the oval, just put a circle around it. Well, the machine can't read that, so it has to be duplicated. They know how they voted. So what they do is they take that ballot and they put it down, and they call this ballot 1. And then they take a blank ballot and they call that dupe 1. And they copy it out just the way the person voted it. And this is a common procedure used throughout the state of Michigan, and anyone dealing with absentee ballots or elections is familiar with it. These women did not know how to do it. The clerk had to go look at a book to figure out how to do this. So I've been a CPA and an auditor all my life. I asked, well, what did you used to do it here? Wait till you heard what the totals were outside, and then figure out how many ballots you needed so that the Whirlpool people could win? And then you made them up and put them in there, and then you came out of the sequestered room saying, hey, Whirlpool won again.
I think you put a pretty good synopsis on what that, and it's an old problem that had been occurring in Benton Harbor, that people, the residents, the voters, the constituents accepted anything that they had been told.
Well, that's true across the whole country. These people are stealing elections left and right. I conducted the first audit on elections in the state of Michigan. We forced the Attorney General to issue an opinion allowing us to FOIA and see the ballots at some point after an election. Now, I've got about 18 jurisdictions that I photographed, and in several of these jurisdictions, I've got more than one precinct. So I've got over 30,000 photographs, and I've started doing this. I've got 3 jurisdictions now that I've completed and cross-checked. The totals on the ballots do not agree with the official totals. Do not agree with the official totals. The feds don't want to hear from me. The state doesn't want to hear from me. And now I'm taking it to the sheriff's department. And I'm kind of hoping the sheriff's department will do something with it. I doubt whether they will. But we're going to try to get this on national news, like Bev Harris from blackboxvoting.org and Amy Goodman on Democracy Now. Now, whether they come and help us is something beside the point. But we got massive fraud here in Allegan County, and I can prove it. I've got one ballot that they changed. They actually, the markings on it, it was the only ballot voted this way in this jurisdiction. Only one. And you can see that the markings on the ballot are different. So, Dennis, you ran as a write-in candidate for mayor in the last election in Benton Harbor, correct?
Correct.
Now, how many people do you think voted for you?
I would have to say that there were, at the end, I know at least 25 people that stated that they voted for me.
Okay, and you voted for yourself.
And I voted for myself.
How many votes did they give you?
They gave me 0 according to the media tallies from the clerk's office.
0 votes. Now, they are blatantly stealing. They know that you're going to vote for yourself. And they don't care. They're going to come out and they're just going to slam it on you. They're going to say, we can do anything we want. And this is what's happening in our country. Yeah, you can go out and you can occupy Wall Street, you can occupy Oakland, but it doesn't do a damn thing unless you occupy the goddamn precincts when they're voting. And you'd say, I want to count those ballots.
That's not something that's common. Now, I'm going to say this about the Green Party. When you guys came out when I was running in 2009, and of course the time we're talking about right now is the mayoral election, commission election that just occurred
right in
November of this year.
Right.
But then you all made it a safe, and you made it an above board, although I believe also some tallies were sequestered, not given in that election. But you made it that it was a just election, in that no one could steal without being observed. The clerk could not steal votes from, as you said, the absentee ballots. If the Green Party had not been there, honestly, I believe I would not be a sitting commissioner today. As time had gone on, and I'm saying this to all of America, you have to be, I agree with Mr. Foster here, you have to pay close attention to those ballot booths, or not booths, but the polling places, the clerk's office. You also have to watch, and in this case we had police officers stationed at every polling place, first time ever in the city of Benton Harbor. We also had police officers transporting absentee ballots. Did not take these ballots to the clerk's office. They were pulling ballots from the water payment office in the city of Benton Harbor. This is what was going on this time in this current election.
You mean those absentee ballots were sitting in someone's office prior to they're going into this room where these women are sequestered to open them up?
Exactly.
You know what kind of shocked me was when I was in this room, I was watching, they're supposed to, one lady writes down the name of the person from the outside of the envelope, and then hands it to another woman who opens it up and is not supposed to look at the name and not supposed to look at the ballot, but take that envelope, set it over like this, and put that ballot over like this. And this lady was opening it up. She was looking at the name. She was taking the ballots out, and she was looking at them to see how they voted. And I said, ma'am, you can't do that. And she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, ma'am, this is supposed to be a secret ballot. You're not allowed to look at the name and the address of the person who just voted that and see how they voted. Oh, and she was insulted. She was completely insulted because, well, we've always done that.
Let me ask a question, and this is your expertise, and you are. Bureau of Elections, once those improprieties are reported, what should they do and what do they do, if anything at all?
Well, what they should do is they should go back, and if they find malfeasance on the part of the people running the elections, they're supposed to prosecute them. They're supposed to pull them in. We tried to get the state police to handle this through MIRA, the Michigan Election Reform Alliance, and we had a meeting in Lansing with with these guys that were ahead of the PR department for the state police, and they told us that Governor Granholm told them that they had to stand down on any of this, and they couldn't look at anything. And the only one that can handle it is the Bureau of Elections. We want to prosecute the Bureau of Elections. We want to prosecute them. They're the ones that are stealing the elections in Michigan. There's just too much proof. Their actions indicate that they're stealing it. They do everything to keep people from seeing the ballots. They lie, they cheat. It's time we come up with a new election system, because the only power you as an individual has is your vote, and you're not getting it. You're not getting it here in Michigan. They're stealing it.
I got a question on that note. These new machines they got, and we know that the diabolts. I remember the paper ballots.
Right.
To me, they were the most sure way of getting true vote counts. Right now, we don't know, because even in the system where I said 25, I know for a fact they told me that they voted for me, even having affidavits to prove that I at least had one absentee ballot vote, that the voter was not counted at any level, whether it had been, their name didn't even register. This is an elderly person who signed a sworn affidavit stating that she had voted for me, and she did in fact vote. I took this the day that there was a press conference because of the seemingly illegitimate way that the votes came out, and it was a recount. I took this affidavit before the county clerk, who stated to me then that I should take that affidavit to the county prosecutor and have the county prosecutor investigate that absentee ballot claim of having had voted, not even just for myself, but for the process of voting. I took it to the prosecutor. The prosecutor sent word, and in the county of Berrien, I got to say is Arthur Carter, Cotter, sent word back to me through his secretary to tell me to take it to the local police department in the city of Benton Harbor, knowing it was not going to go anywhere. I'm telling you, these are just farces of voting improprieties.
I had the same situation in 2006 here in Allegan County. We had a recount, and Joyce Watts, the county clerk, came out with these ballots, and she said, everything's straight here. You guys can photograph. You can do anything you want. So I was one of the counters. There were 3 people looking at these ballots, and it was a recount for this Neva Tice out of Lee Township. And I told them, since there were 3 of us looking at it, that I wouldn't be looking at Neva's records. The 2 of you could look at Neva's and count and cross-check. I would count the Secretary of State's race. Well, I counted the Secretary of State's race, and I found that there was a 5.5% difference between the actual votes for her and what they gave her credit for. They gave her credit for 5.5% more than she actually got, had people voting for her. And I noticed one other thing. I noticed that in Michigan, if you were disabled, they have a printer, and you can take your ballot and put it into this printer, and you can touch the screen and touch vote, and it will come out printed. Now, when these ovals come through a printer, each oval's neatly filled out, and it's easy to tell the difference between a manually voted ballot and a printed ballot. Well, when we were going through these ballots, we found that over 50 of the ballots had been printed. Now, this was Lee Township. I didn't think Lee Township had 50 disabled people in it. And I checked with this Linda Reynolds, who was an election challenger there with the Democratic Party. and she told me that she was there early in the morning and they tried to use this machine. It was broken. They couldn't use it. They put it over in a corner. So nobody voted in that election using that printer. Yet they show up with 50 printed ballots, and we filed a complaint with Fred Anderson, the Allegan County prosecutor, and he never heard from him. Wherever he filed that, it wasn't in something that was active. We also called the probate judge. The probate judge is the top person in the county. And we told him. He did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He did nothing. So that's one of the complaints I have coming in. Now, there's a 2-year statute of limitations. You're not allowed to see the ballots, but there's only a 2-year statute of limitations, which you could say they're guilty. And so we're saying I can file this because we filed with the local prosecutor. And if he did nothing, we have a right to now ask why.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you done anything? This Joyce Watts is still in there. And then I ran against her in the '08 election. And I only ran to try to get them to cheat big time. And apparently I did, because the only recount that was allowed was in a judge's race. And over 50% of the precincts could not even be counted. They couldn't even pull the ballots out and look at them.
So how did they determine who won and in that process?
Well, it's like your friends there at Whirlpool. I declare these guys winners. What do you call those guys again?
Lawn jockeys.
Lawn jockeys. That's what they are.
They're lawn jockeys simply because they kissed the ring of the corporation who has chosen them to vote on behalf of the corporation, and also to not even listen to the people. These folk that are in these seats today playing these games, and they're not playing the games, they're getting very minuscule trinkets, don't realize that even themselves, when they're done being used, the lawn jockey, they kick them off the lawn. So
that's one of the major problems in the black community, is other blacks selling out the whole community. We need unity. At least we can try to get some unity between black, white, Chinese, Indian, whatever. It doesn't matter what nationality, what race, whatever you are. We're all in this boat together. I mean, the people at the top are shafting all of us, and they don't give a damn what color you are.
And bottom line is, you see it going all the way around. You would talk about the Appalachian Mountains. Those people have been turned away and really swept under the rug. You don't hear anything about Appalachian. It's in Kentucky.
Right.
But now let's look at what's going on. It's happening in Javiero, Texas, Miami, Florida. I'm hearing it more and more, even in the D.C. area. I'm hearing it right now. We have emergency managed occupation based on legislation from legislators that the people put in and trusted them. Remember, one thing I have to say, we took an oath to protect the public good, the public trust. We took an oath, public safety. We took an oath to make sure and ensure that we would provide the best services for the people that had put us in the seat. Well, you said theft of elections. It's as if the people don't exist. It's as if, and those of us who've been crying out, we now get tainted histories in the media. We get vilified by the media. We have to now, even some of us face charges for standing firm and standing tall on behalf of the people. Elections don't even exist. You said it best. They don't exist. There are no elections. What it is it's already a chosen few. The public is given the mindset that they're actually voting. You're actually voting. You're doing nothing, public. You're doing nothing. But then again, public, you're not holding the system accountable.
Well, I think you and Virginia Hill were probably the only two people who were really voted in by the people the others were, they didn't have anyone running against them. So that's typically what happens with the people who control. That they just want uh, uh, these races where the only people on the ballot are the people they want sitting in those seats.
I'll give you an outcome, and I'm going to ask everyone if they would please, just to show you what happens when you allow your democratic process, the process put in place that people died for. I'm speaking black America, white America, it doesn't matter. When the country was fought for freedoms, it was fought under a process that there would be free elections, women's rights through the course of time, allowing women to vote. All these things are being taken away as we sit back unobserving, and the corporations are now moving in. We mentioned it early on, fracturing. We're talking about stripping the land of its mineral rights, stripping you of your food rights, stripping and now diminishing any benefits, taxation of senior pensions now. These are people that have been put in by the corporation, in the state government, in the federal government, diminishing Medicaid, Medicare. You're paying co-pays now that you never could afford in the first place, but more so now. AARP is a shaft. It's a sham. It's a game. You look at Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a shaft in the game. If we don't begin to protect ourselves, and it won't be, you said something really emphatic earlier, the revolution. It won't be by the gun, folks. You'll never win by the gun. You said something so funny to me that you can store up all of the food stuffs in your house. You're poisoning yourself. How did you put that?
I said the people here in Michigan know that there's a fight between themselves and the government, and they're going out to Walmart and they're buying up all the ammunition. Their house is loaded with guns. They're locking all the doors, and are eating subsidized food that's designed to make you sick and shorten your life. So they don't have to break your door down.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to kill yourself.
And we are. America, I hate to say this, that's exactly what we're doing. We're playing into the hands of tyranny. We're playing into the hands of dictatorship. We're playing into the hands of some monarchy that you thought, or we thought, and I know that I am now, and I'll say this, 58 years old. When I was a kid, during the civil rights movement and era, when the Givens were allowed civil rights bill, which should have been a human rights initiative, even then, I thought that I would grow up into a society where we would have the right to vote. We would have, and our vote would count. I even ran as a councilman, being a former activist first, believing that I can make a difference. But I'll be darned that I'm making a difference because of this onslaught, even in the body that I sit with, who have this thing about, well, we must do what the dictator says we must do. So we'll vote. In this case, in this scenario, there are 9 members voting. 5 is the count that would outtake any objection in reference to, let's say, if we were voting for the corporation on the one hand, and the people getting any benefits on the other hand. Well, the 5 will vote for the corporation, and the people get nothing. This is what's been happening because of the kiss of the ring. You have no freedoms, and freedom is not something that is a given. People, we have to fight for freedom.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
Thank you.
Sure.
God bless you too, Pat.
Thank you.